This dating world, apparently there's new trends every year, and there are a few new surprises for 23 that we want to talk about today. Thank you again for joining us on Second Act TV. Happy to welcome back Joni Caldwell Lerner, dating coach, motivational coach, communications expert, and my good friend, Joni. Thanks for joining me again.
You know, of all those, I love the last one the most.
Oh.
But thank you. Thank you for your introduction.
Well, always happy to have you here. And today, this dating world, apparently there's new trends every year that come out, the big dating sites put together what the new trends are. And there are a few new surprises for 23 that we want to talk about today. Anything you want to say, Joni, before we get started?
I love that you said a few new because some of them overlap, but we like to provide some information that maybe will spark, people thinking and maybe shifting a little bit and finding more success.
Yeah, exactly. So let's jump right into the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Consciously couponing. That's a match term, otherwise known by plenty of fish as infla-dating. That the economic times we're in is affecting, it's trickling down to the dating scene. Talk to me about that.
Well, I think that's absolutely true. Now with inflation and the talk about possible recession and a lot of us are on fixed incomes. Yes, it is a conscious choice to be really respectful of one another in that area.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that respectful, don't you think?
No, absolutely, and it's I guess the trend or what they're saying here is that people are looking for less expensive dates. Certainly on the first one, and I totally agree with that. I never thought you should spend a lot of money or expect a guy to spend a lot of money on a first date. That now it's more affordable. Maybe going for a walk, doing something else. But there's a real consciousness, if you will, put on the how much do we spend on a first date. And that's come up as an issue on this channel anyway, so I think that's great that that's being recognized widely.
Yeah.
Well, and the next one goes along with that: double dutching, another new trendy word. That that the bill is expected to be paid 50-50, especially when you first get to know someone. And I know that goes along or goes against a lot of the advice you've probably heard on this channel, including from John Gray and other people, that the man really should, pay for the dates, that there's other actions associated with that. So let's discuss that for a minute.
So nowadays, maybe it is more prevalent to go, Dutch treat. So I think if you're doing the online dating and you're just meeting for coffee, you should expect to pay for your own. I don't expect the man to pay for my dinner. But if you begin dating, then maybe there's a conversation there. And if you know just from conversation and that kind of thing that he's very budget conscious and needs to be that way, and you're good, then maybe you just say, hey, let me go halves on this, and see what he says. Maybe that is maybe it doesn't feel right to him. Maybe he's like, no, this is something that I want to do. It makes me feel good. But find out. Don't assume. Don't make assumptions.
Yeah, that great advice, and especially both ways. We've had recent comments from men, or questions that I've received is, I'm off. I'm doing good, but I'm on a fixed income. I can't support two down the road.
Right.
How do I do that? Well, am I just out of the dating pool? And I said, no, look at everything else you bring to the table. I mean, really, in my opinion, at this time in our lives, if we have the money, whoever has the money, and we really love this person, we want to be with this person, who cares? Just do enjoy what you have together and and enjoy these years. I know I've never had that much of a focus on money. So anyway, apparently there is, and it's consciously changing in the dating world. Well, and that kind of leads us to our next point. The next point is open casting. Now we've talked about this before. What it means in this sense, and Bumble came up with this, is that we are less concerned with our typical, dating out of our typical type, that people are actually starting to do that now, that they realize that the typical type maybe hasn't worked. So they're dating outside the box. I think that's a great trend.
Yeah, I agree. The reason I'm laughing a little bit or giggling is that we kind of have to date outside our preconceived notions, period, after 50, because one has to we do age. We aren't going to look like we did at 25, or he is not going to look like he did at 30 when he was, weightlifting or whatever. We have to honor the fact that what's important is who the person is.
Right.
Who is this person? And I think dating outside of the box, or however you put it, is critical, because in the past, the swiping, you miss some really extraordinary humans. I guarantee you.
Oh, absolutely.
So being more open to who is this person? What are their values? What is their remaining purpose on the planet?
Yeah, no, I agree. And we've talked about this quite a bit, actually, dating against type. And it's great that that is being recognized, by the dating apps now. I think it's terrific.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another one that I think is good, especially for our demographic. Wander Love. This was also Bumble. That according to a survey of over 10,000, daters, that being in a relationship that is not within your city. I mean, they're more open about actually long distance relationships. That, and of course, the online world opens that up, but that is becoming more and more acceptable. That it doesn't have to be in your zip code. That long term or long distance relationships might just be for you.
I have a couple of examples. Two people I've been working with over the last year. One went off to Florida for a little vacation, met a guy, and so they dated and dated and dated, and we worked and worked and worked. And she said to him, she's still working.
Mm-hmm.
And she continued in that job. And he said, I don't care. I will move wherever you are, And then he got a job where she was, and they moved into her house. It worked out beautifully. Mm-hmm. And another one met somebody in Rhode Island. She lives in Colorado, and that person is closing down their business anyway, and he's going to move to Colorado.
Yeah, the dating apps have opened up the world to us. Now they also, you have to make sure it's not a catfishing thing, that, make sure this is a real person that you're conversing with. But there are hundreds of stories now of people who have met long distance and who are in a wonderful relationship. So yeah, don't count it out. Don't cut out, especially if this person has something that really that's enticing to you. So I don't know. I think it's a great trend. Here's another one. This is funny. Fatting, aka a fitness date. Maybe I'm pronouncing this fading. I see the fat, but
F is in Frank, A, T is in Tom. Fate. Got it.
Yeah, I'll have a graphic up. But yeah, that there is. It's predicted that going on a fitness date is going to be a big trend in 23. I actually always liked that 10 years ago.
Yeah,
I was a big runner back then. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, I'd rather pull my eyelashes out than run, personally, but pickleball. This is a great place to meet people. I mean, seriously, you've got people over 50, over 60, and they are obviously fit or want to stay fit, and a lot of them are single. It's a great place to meet a guy. So yes, I think that we are fitter at this age than any generation before us. That longevity of activity. I think it's a great way to connect.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it can be much more comfortable than, at a bar or over dinner and, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, great new trend. This is interesting. Conscious swiping. Now I never swipe, so that's always confusing to me anyway, but that well, apparently here was an engagement study. Some jeweler did this of over 5,000 couples, that 1 in 4 of the engaged people met online. I mean,
Mm.
that's huge. And we kind of know this, that's where lots of marriages, lots of coupling comes from, is from online dating. But they said, or I guess the big feedback was that they really thought about if they were going to swipe right, not just, oh yeah, he's kind of cute, but let me see more, what else do I see in this person before I either go left or right. So another good trend.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it kind of ties into what we were talking about before,
Right.
which is, dating out of the box, but really be curious
Mm-hmm.
about the person. Read the profile. If it's 3 lines and 2 pictures, they're not. I don't think that's a lot of effort put in. They don't feel serious to me. But if there are half a dozen pictures, and the person has talked about what matters to them, what's fun for them, who they are, that's interesting. And then you take that, if you decide to contact, and you use something that's in the profile and say, hey, tell me more about that. What do you love about that? There's an opening line.
Right, right, exactly. Here's one that I've not heard of at
Mhm.
all, and that's scrumming.
Oh, I know what that is.
Apparently, Match came up with this, and that it says here this is for the bashful among us. If the one-on-one scenarios don't work, maybe go on a couples date. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, yeah. Especially if you know that there's some commonality of interests. Like you can have a couple friend that has the same interests as the person that you're trying to connect with. And scrumming is an old rugby term.
I've never heard it.
Rigby. It's a rugby term where it's 2 sets of people go after something. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think that's a terrific idea. It was funny. One of my very first dates, actually here when I started dating in California again, it ended up being somebody from high school, and we all had a bunch of common friends. We didn't meet on Facebook; it was Match, and we ended up having like a happy hour with a bunch of our high school friends.
Yeah,
Go
interesting.
anywhere, but it was a fun date.
Yeah, good, good, good.
The other one, and you sent, I don't even know if they said this right, conflabbing.
Confabbing is what it
Confabbing,
should have
or
been.
well, that, yeah, well, I tried to Google.
Confabbing.
Oh yeah, and I guess all that yeah, I don't know how they came up with that term, but the idea behind it is interesting. That to add a voice, like a voice message in your profile. Apparently, some of the apps are allowing that now, where you can, leave a voice message so they can hear your voice. A lot of people say that's important. That's why they want to get on the phone right away.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
What do you think
Well,
about that?
I think it's amazing because confabbing is casual conversation. So it's another way of putting something on there that is sort of a casual way to learn more information. And I've said this before on your channel. I need to hear the man's voice
Mhm.
before I'll even have tea or coffee, because there's so much you can get from the cadence, from the way he speaks, it, I know I've mentioned this. There was one that was so whiny, and I should have gotten on the phone. Oh my God.
Yeah,
I'm like, God bless him.
yeah,
But that's just, me. And that is not me. This
right.
is,
Here's the thought I had with that, though. At first I read it, I thought, this is a great idea. And I
mhm.
thought, well, what would I say?
You just say, hey, I'm Silka. I'm kind of I'm scared to be here. I'm happy to be here. I'm treating this like an adventure, and I look forward to meeting someone.
Yeah, so maybe that's good. That was a really good example, because I thought about it, it's like, here, I do this for a living. I was like, well, what would I leave as a message for an impression on a dating app? So I don't know, maybe think about it, but I think overall, I think it's a terrific idea.
Mhm.
We've talked about hesitating before, that we're more, hesitant and not to want to spend time with other people. I think we even have a segment on that. And then cannonballing. I hadn't heard that. That after 3 years of not being able to get together, that when you do find somebody, you dive in deep. Is that a good
Yeah.
idea? I don't know.
I think it's individual.
Mm-hmm.
I think it really depends on the people. What are they looking for? Is it aligned? Do they mesh? So, John has said, there's plenty of time and none to waste. And
Yes.
and I said to him, because he wanted me to move in after a year, and
Mm-hmm.
I said, it's a little fast, don't you think? And he said, I said, what if it doesn't work? He said, then move out.
It doesn't work.
No big deal. But he said, I'm ready to have this relationship. I am committed to creating a life together. I know what I want, and you're it. I was like, I couldn't come up with a good reason why not to. And it worked out fine for me. So that was honestly, that was a cannonball. I think we were a cannonball.
Yeah, so it
Yeah.
could work. I mean, we say
Yeah.
to go slow, and you guys did it for all the right. I mean, you thought about it. It wasn't, just.
Well, and we dated for
Mhm.
months before romance. There was a building
Yeah,
and a foundation. There was a consciousness about it. It
right.
wasn't 3 weeks and I'm moving my couch in.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And
and
you
when
know
I
what? And some people do that, and that works too. So I don't. I'm coming off a bit judgmental. I don't mean to, but I think it's yeah, probably it's maybe at our age, maybe that's a really great new trend.
Okay, but with the caveat, look,
Mhm.
everything lined up. There were no secrets, there was no negativity, there was no weirdness, he wasn't after my money. He was, you know what I mean? Everything. So so you do have to protect yourself, and maybe a cannonball's in your future. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, no, it's definitely somebody to think about. They closed here, or I thought I mentioned it in closing because we are getting to the end. The dating don'ts, and that they like bad grammar, sexual innuendos, cheesy lines. Yeah, well,
Mhm.
it's funny because we're going to be talking about sexual innuendos on our next segment,
Big
where we
time.
want to know how to use them with sexting. Joni, yeah, we are at the end. Anything else you want to add before we sign off here?
Well, I just want to say you just said sexting, and I want to say sexting. We're going to talk about sexting. Own it, baby. So what I want to say, as always, get out there if that's what you want. Trust yourself, enjoy yourself, and always don't follow a formula. Don't go, okay, Silka and Joni said, no, go with your own intuition, your own heart, your own truth, and you will do just fine.
Exactly. Joni, thank you so much. As usual, we'll link to all of your information. Coach with Joni, if you need some extra help to clear some of this stuff up, we'll have her contact information. And I look forward to our next segment. Really look forward to our
And
next
what's it called?
sexting on Second Act TV. See you guys later.